I spend a lot of time thinking about how things end. Honestly, I wasn't ever expecting to be able to get here. The fact that I'm still on this platform continually amazes me. I check my phone every day, and I'm like, I'm still there. Wow. And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy about it. I feel like I'm cheating the system in some way by managing to stick my content here. But I've always been on shaky ground. I've always been on very shaky ground, and as time goes on, it really does seem like the ground is only becoming shakier. Even before I started making genuinely edgy stuff, I would always be very worried about whatever I put on the internet. Everything I made felt like it could, at the very least, be the end of me socially. When I was an early content creator and everything I was making would get like 5 likes or 6 likes, I would really consider each thing that I made. I was like, maybe this is the last thing I'll do. There's just some things we take as a given, you know? I can't say anything that makes me look bad. I can't say anything that makes my family look bad. I can't say anything incriminating or controversial. That was really my mindset when I started making stuff. But then I said the things anyway, you know? I just said what was on my mind. And I got very anxious, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did, because it eventually lowered my filter for what I would say to the point where I'm now saying stuff I really shouldn't be saying. The reason I'm in a precarious position is because of the nature of the art that I do and the topics that I've chosen to speak of. But if I have to choose between being in a precarious position where the end feels closer than it might otherwise be, and choosing to be in a comfortable position where the stuff that I'm saying and the things that I'm making could be said and made by anybody, you know, I think the choice is pretty clear. Oh shit. Fittingly, the video almost just ended there because a car pulled in to this abandoned driveway, and I got spooked because this used to be an Iranian cultural center, and now it is not. Now it has ended. That's the choice of scenery I've chosen. God, I sound like a nerd, and you can tell I'm neurotic because that was enough to make me leave. But I think the other person was neurotic as well, because as soon as they saw me, they left. Bit of a game of chicken. I'm on a private road, owned by nobody. That's a fun little phrase. Going into making art and saying things, you think, okay, I can't say anything that makes me look bad. I can't say anything that makes my family look bad. I can't say anything that is controversial or advertiser unfriendly. I've basically got to keep myself in this small box, or else something will happen. Something will end. Even when I had nothing to lose, I was afraid that I would still lose that nothing that I had. I was afraid about making art that was polarizing or scary in any way. I say was a lot. And what I mean is am currently still afraid of all those things. The nothing that I have, I'm still worried about losing. I call it nothing now a little bit more ironically, because now, yeah, obviously I have something, but in the grand scheme, the 200,000 YouTube subscribers that mean everything to me, it could mean nothing to somebody else. When you make edgy content, it's kind of like playing with a knife, and, you know, by nature, you might cut yourself. But it's important, I think, to have at least some amount of people trying to figure out where the edge is. You know, edgy content that rides the edge is very different from something that just somersaults over it, you know? There's an art to finding out where the line is. And you ask yourself certain questions by not transgressing exactly, but by pushing in that direction. You ask certain philosophical, certain artistic questions. I sound insufferable, and I hate the inflection that my voice has. Kind of like nerdy. Like a nerdy inflection. Part of making edgy content is like you're running your finger across a knife and it'll cut you. But you gotta see where the blade is. And it's very different from just chopping your hand off. So far, I have been mercifully unscathed. And so far, I am not yet ended. But it could happen at any time. For any reason. And even if nothing happens to make it end, it will still end. I've been doing this for a year and a half, and I don't know how, but whatever this is will end. Or at the very least transform into something unrecognizable. I hear voices from over there. And this time I'm pretty sure it's not my schizophrenia. I don't know if I'll ever feel safe. I didn't feel safe a year ago when I started making political stuff, and I don't feel safe now. But I don't think it's in my nature to feel safe. I don't think I want to feel safe. Not really. I don't suffer from the delusion that I'm untouchable. I may act like a bunch of ideas, but at the end of the day, I'm just a person. And there's no escaping that. There is a possibility that I'm not on YouTube's radar yet, or if I am, then they've just marked me as harmless satire and moved on with their lives. I like to think they know I'm just doing an art thing and they're respecting that and they're leaving me alone. But if they don't really know what it is that I'm doing here and they misunderstand something that I do, or they read into it in a certain way that makes me look incriminating. All that really has to happen is for someone to make a judgment call and say, is this person profitable to be on this platform? And then all someone has to say is, nope. No, this isn't a good look. And that seems like a logical thing to say. I wouldn't have any qualms. I mean, I would obviously have qualms, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someone just looked at my channel and said, is this worth it? And answered no. And that thought is horrible. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible thought. And if I had some more perspective and stoicism, it wouldn't bother me as much as it does. But the idea of losing it seems almost unfathomable, unbearable. I think the end of the channel might be the end of me. But I only feel like that now. And I think realistically I would survive. It seems so stupid to say, right? Like a year and a half ago I didn't have this. So I would just be returning to the me of a year and a half ago, but the thought of doing that, it's like unbearable in my mind. Honestly, the me of a year and a half ago, the life I was leading, it was unbearable. I say was a lot. My life is often unbearable. But it's not because of my life, it's because of my reaction to my life. You ever read about deep ecology? If something doesn't force my hand to make something end quicker than it needs to, then I get the privilege of ending this myself. The ability to end something myself is a very good thing. People often say, Dreg's clearly gonna pull a Joji on us. And I think, what? I'm not gonna start making shitty pop music. It's a needless zing. A needless zing against someone who is well liked. Take it back. Reel it back in. Gah. Honestly, completely honestly, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do after this ends, but I have principles artistically that I think if I follow, I will always be engaged with something. And I'll always be doing something I find very valuable, very important, breaking new ground. As long as I'm checking those boxes, I'll be a happy artist now. Speaking of endings, I think my card is almost full, so I should probably wrap this up. Before I really blew up, there were a group of 4 people who used to comment on all my videos, and none of them do that anymore. Oh my god. Thought another card pulled up. Jesus. I can't deal with it. None of them comment on my videos anymore because, you know, I completely changed my content. I pivoted entirely. I don't know if anybody from that era still watches me. So even though it looks like something's continuing, it's filled with these tiny, tiny ends that you don't even notice. So even though a year from now, most of you watching will have gotten bored of me and moved on to some bright and shiny thing, and that's fine, by the way. That's why I plan to invest more, you know, in the community than I do in myself. And even though in 2 years' time, this channel will probably be doing something artistically that I will defend to the death, but maybe is objectively a really bad move. And even though, despite the fact that after this ends, there will come a point in my life where I just desperately want to blow my fucking brains out, I am grateful. I am grateful from the bottom of my heart that I got to do this for any amount of time. For any amount of time at all. A year and a half? Great. I'm happy. Any day, every day after that, I'm still happy. And when it ends, it ends. But I got to do this. I spend a lot of time thinking about endings. That goes for this as well. I think about endings with pretty much everything. You know, videos, relationships, lives, the world. But the fact that this will end one day doesn't mean that it's not special. Just like the fact that you will die one day doesn't mean that you're not special. I want to unsay that sentence. And no matter how this ends, no matter what happens to me, no matter what I say or do after this ends, I want you to know that the fact that it could end means everything to me, because it began. If I'm being realistic, I think the way this will end will be in a way that I don't see coming, in a way that you don't see coming, because by its nature, endings are often difficult to predict.